I'm behind a Toronto Man's Reflection. During pandemic, I ended up creating these yellow letters on black background visuals. It was literally a thought that I would have. I've noticed a lot of other people resonated. When white men come into this world, they go right into privilege. And melanated, mass-connected folks, we go right into systematic racism. There are levels to identity and systematic oppression to those different identities. Yet we're treated the same ways in the judicial system. Growing up, I've had a lot of people go into the bin, into the prison system. I've seen them in many different moments, how beautiful their heart is, like for real. But there was questions that I was having, and I didn't know exactly who to go to talk about it. Why? Because you don't want to get ridiculed, you don't want to get laughed at, you didn't want people wondering, is everything okay with him? I told myself that I'm going to become the person that I would want my younger self to talk to. Knowing the indigenous that I'm connected to, knowing the other different indigenous cultures that I connect to, I just think, how would they even see research? A beautiful educator, Eve Tuck, created what happens when the researched becomes the researchers. That means let the people that we're supporting, let their voices lead. Sometimes I feel like when people support you, it just comes off so charity. It takes away the human part of all of this. For me, research can't happen if there's no relationship there to begin with. If I don't know you and you're coming in to ask me a vulnerable question like, who are you? A Toronto Man's Reflection is not my reflection, it's man's. It's Manda. There's always a question. It leads to a community conversation. I was able to connect with Tara from the Forgiveness Project, Arifa from Lifted by Purpose, and the Dog Ray from Black Men's Therapy Fund. I'm also a part of a collective called The Good Guys. They're like a gas station for masculinity. They ask these folks connected to the incarceration system, what would you tell to your younger self if you could go back in time? And what would you tell to the system? Because all these leaders have created such authentic, consistent relationship, we were able to get some real responses. I wanted them to know that this is how their voice was going to take up space. We created yellow and black visuals for these thoughts. Shout outs to Amithi, who was the graphic designer. We ended up taking over a courtroom at Old City Hall. Flip was able to support in tremendous ways with getting a courtroom. The type of hurdles that we had to go through was a lot. We didn't get as much responses for system accountability. Some of them did not know how to answer that question. Some of them, they never had this question even asked to them. It seems like a lot of these melanated masked folks were very quick to be disposed. I want to acknowledge this truth. There is definitely self-accountability, but this environmental accountability piece is super real at the same time. I'm hoping these different public art activations can inspire the way us melanated men can dialogue with each other. Like, for real. I know I'm not the only one thinking about this. You find out I'm really not researching, this is necessary, and their voices needs to be heard.